All right. Awesome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are catching us from. And welcome to today's webinar on Cyber Hygiene 101. My name is Edwin Olo, and I'm thrilled to be your host for this important and timely conversation. So, whether you're joining us from a nonprofit, a corporate team, or just looking to strengthen your personal digital habits, you are in the right place. Today, we'll be diving into the essentials of cyber hygiene, what it is, why it matters, and how you can start practicing it right away. But before we begin, a quick housekeeping notes. Number one, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat and let us know where you're joining us from. We'll also have some time for Q&A at the end. So just jot down your questions as we go. And yes, this session is being recorded and will be shared afterward for your reference. Great. But before we dive in into today's topic, allow me to briefly introduce the organization behind this session, Cibasi. At Cibasi, we specialize in delivering practical, secure, and scalable solutions tailored for your organizations. And we are driven by our mission, which is encoded in our name. Right, and that is Cibasi, services and solutions invested and integrated into a client's business for them to achieve success and have an impact. Right, and we endeavor to deliver these services excellently, professionally, in collaboration with you, and putting in the cutting edge technology and best practices, and while at it, having fun. Right. Some of our offerings as an organization, we have a couple of offerings. The first offering is around development services. And in development services here, we are building applications from the ground up. So talk about mobile applications, web applications. We try to do all this while infusing security into that. The other bit would be around deployment services, which is basically extending already existing applications. Talk about applications provided as software as a service. So we come in and we are able to tweak them, configure, customize, extend them for your organization to be able to benefit from that. And lastly, which is the pillar that supports this particular webinar today, is all around technology consulting, which is basically advising you on what are the current trends in terms of your infrastructure. What are you able to do with your infrastructure? How are you able to make cost savings whilst you are also able to increase efficiency and effectiveness with regards to how you're using tech in your organization. So that's a brief of what we do at Cibasi. And just to now dive into our topic for the day with some interesting statistics here. You know, we're living in an increasingly connected world, and, you know, practicing good cyber hygiene is very, very essential, right? And it's interesting that from these statistics back in 2021, it says that most attackers don't break in, they log in. That is very, very interesting. It's almost like they walk in through the gate. And how is this done? You know, 61% of all breaches, you know, involve credentials, right? There are over 4,000 password attacks every second. Just the sheer scale of that is very, very alarming. And, you know, 76% of businesses expect successful attack in the next 12 months. Yeah. So I read a quote, a very interesting quote, that there are two kinds of companies, right? There are those ones that have been hacked and they know it, and there are those ones that have been hacked and they don't know it, which is very, very interesting. And that's why we're having this particular conversation today, and just reiterating the idea that, you know, security is paramount for all organizations. So our topic today is basically to take you through, you know, how are you able to prevent, detect, and respond to security concerns that are, you know, prevalent in our day and age. And to help us do this, take this particular conversation to the next level is none other other than Gift Amokoe, who is a cybersecurity expert and MVP in this particular section, and he is going to take us through what Cyber Hygiene 101 looks like for our organization. So a round of applause to Mr. Gift Amokoe. Take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Edwin, for the warm introduction. So just give me 1 second. Let me get situated here. Yeah, so thank you very much, Edwin, for the warm introduction. As he mentioned, my name is Gift Amuhoe, and I will be your guide through this session. So I work with organizations that rely on Microsoft 365 every day, helping them stay secure, productive, and resilient. Over the next couple of minutes, we'll talk about simple, practical steps that protect your data, your accounts, and your organization without getting overly technical. So you'll also see how Microsoft 365's built-in tools like Defender, Entra ID, Purview, and Intune quietly protect you in the background. So whether you are an end user, a manager, or an IT admin, there's something in here for you. Okay. Okay. Now, let's start with why cyber hygiene is such a big deal. Think of cyber hygiene like personal hygiene. Brushing your teeth doesn't stop cavities forever, but skip it for a few days and you'll have problems. In the digital world, hygiene means keeping our passwords clean, devices patched, and behaviors consistent. Now, let me ask you, how many of us have ever clicked a link in an email without thinking twice? Or even used the same password for more than one account? Guilty, right? Don't worry, you're not alone. We've seen so many such cases, and even IT admins have made the same mistakes. Now, from our research, we found that phishing remains the top threat in Microsoft 365 environments, accounting for almost 40% of incidents. And here's the key insight. Most of these breaches did not involve sophisticated hackers. They started with a single careless click or even reused passwords. So if we can strengthen those daily habits, we immediately close a huge part of the risk gap. Now, today, I want to show you how a few small changes in your daily habits can make a huge difference in keeping your information and your organization safe in Microsoft 365. Now, let's start with the bigger picture. Microsoft 365 is the backbone of how we work. It's where our emails, files, chats, and calendars live. That's why attackers love it, because if they get in, they get access to everything. Now, when you look at phishing and social engineering, this is where we get fraudulent emails or even Teams messages, tricking users into revealing credentials or even clicking malicious links. Now, this can lead to stolen accounts or even malware infections. Now, social engineering remains a constant threat that ultimately cannot be fully mitigated via technology. Let me just tell you about a case we saw last year, just the other day. A finance manager got an email they actually got an email that looked exactly like it came from their CEO. So the email basically asked her to urgently review an invoice. She obviously clicked the link, logged in, and just like that, her credentials were stolen. Now, as you can see, phishing is still the #1 way attackers get in. In fact, about 40% of breaches start with a phishing email. Now, when you talk about malware and ransomware, this is where malicious attachments or software that once opened can infect devices, steal data, or even encrypt files. So in this case, they can even ransom your SharePoint and OneDrive data. Now, attackers increasingly craft malware to specifically target Microsoft 365 services. Have you ever heard of also ransomware as a service? Yeah, so this is something that also attackers are also leveraging as a service to actually deliver this kind of threats to different organizations and different users. Now, when you talk about ransomware, this is when someone opens a malicious attachment and suddenly all their files and sometimes the whole company's files are locked up for ransom. Now, attackers are getting smarter and they are targeting Microsoft 365 files in OneDrive and SharePoint. As you can see, before, when we used to store data locally on our devices, it became so increasingly easy. And now that we're actually moving to the cloud, attackers are finding ways to actually attack us also on that front. Now, let me also talk about password attacks. This is where we get brute force password spraying or even reused or leaked passwords to break into Office 365 accounts. Now, password spray attacks are authentication attacks that ideally employ a large list of usernames and pair them with common passwords in an attempt to guess the correct combination for as many users as possible. Now, weak or reused passwords without multi-factor authentication make easy targets. Now, here is a scary statistic. Weak or reused passwords are one of the easiest ways for attackers to break in. So if you use the same password for your work account and say your old social media, you are at risk. Now let's also let's also talk about data leaks. Now this is where sensitive data accidentally emailed to the wrong person or even overshared via OneDrive or even SharePoint links. Now, without controls, confidential information can leave the organization, violating compliance. Yeah, and sometimes it's not even hackers. It's us. So if you've ever accidentally sent a sensitive file to the wrong person, this is something you need to be careful of, or even shared the link that anyone could forward. So data leaks can happen in a click. Okay. Then also when you talk about privilege misuse, if administrative accounts are too many or too powerful, a single compromised administrative account could actually wreak a lot of havoc, altering settings or even exfiltrating data unnoticed. Now, too many admin accounts, on the other hand, or even old or unpatched applications, are like leaving your door wide open. Attackers look for these gaps. Okay. Then also when it comes to outdated software, unpatched Office applications or even operating systems can have known vulnerabilities, and attackers actually exploit these holes if devices aren't kept up to date. Now, attackers have become more strategic. They use, psychology, where they insist on urgency, authority, curiosity, not just code. Now, one of my favorite examples from our research is it's whereby an employee received an email, supposedly from their IT department, asking to verify their mailbox quota. Now, within minutes of clicking, the attacker had full mailbox access. What's the lesson here? The threat isn't always a hacker in a hoodie. Sometimes it's a well-crafted email that looks business as usual. And now with the advent of AI, some of these particular phishing emails are becoming a bit too real. Unlike what we used to have in the past, where we could actually see spelling mistakes or grammatical errors, right now with the use of AI, we are getting much more sophisticated phishing emails that you need to be on the lookout for. Now, when you look at this particular infographic, as in the past years, password-based attacks on users constitute most identity-related attacks, supported by massive infrastructure that threat actors have dedicated to, combing the digital world for passwords. Now, Microsoft Entra data shows that more than 600 million identity attacks per day, more than 99% are password-based. Now, advances such as default security configurations, and conditional access policies have actually helped organizations embrace multi-factor authentication, increasing adoption to 41% among Microsoft Enterprise customers. You have to take note that even some of the things that we'll actually talk about this session can also apply also within your other accounts that are not necessarily Microsoft 365 related. Okay? Okay, let's continue. So in this case, what does good cyber hygiene look like in Microsoft 365? So let's break it down into habits you can actually start using today, okay? Now, when we say use strong and unique passwords and multi-factor authentication, and I know, passwords are a pain, but using a strong, unique password for your Microsoft 365 account is like locking your front door. And if you add multi-factor authentication, that's like adding a deadbolt. If you know what that is, it's like a padlock, like an extra layer of security. Now, even if someone steals your password, they can't get in without your phone or approval or that second level of authentication that you provide. Okay. Now, when we talk about also unique passwords as again, and also strong passwords, create a unique passphrase or even complex password for your Microsoft 365 account that is not used anywhere else. You can incorporate numbers, symbols, and mix upper or lowercase letters. This makes it far harder for attackers to guess or crack your password. Avoid common words or even personal information, and never reuse your Office 365 password on other sites. Okay? Then, of course, we've talked about this so many times. Enable multi-factor authentication. If your organization offers MFA, always use it. Okay? So let me just 1 second. Oh, yeah. If your organization offers multi-factor authentication, always use it. So this could be either using your Microsoft Authenticator app or even text code. Now, multi-factor authentication requires a second step, like a code or approval on your phone, in addition to your password, which ideally blocks 99.9% of attempts to compromise your account. Even if attackers steal your password, they can't get in without that second factor. Treat multi-factor authentication prompts seriously. If you receive an unexpected multi-factor authentication request, it could mean someone else is trying to use your credentials. Now, in this case, you could actually notify IT. We've actually seen situations whereby if you've actually set up proper MFA on your phone or your devices, all of a sudden you are getting all these multi-factor authentication prompts. It's highly likely that your password has already been compromised, and you should actually either take steps to either reset your own account and just look at your own account security. Then same thing to still tied to password prompts. Only enter your Microsoft 365 credentials on official Microsoft login pages. Now, phishing websites may mimic the Microsoft login screen. Be sure to check the URL. It should be microsoft.com or your company's legitimate domain. Now, when in doubt, navigate to either office.com or microsoft.com, or use your organization's portal instead of clicking a login link in an email. Okay. Then also, if you are able, set up passwordless MFA. This is whereby whenever you key in your email address or your identity, instead of keying in your password, it sends a push prompt to your mobile device, and prompts you to actually approve it on the device that you're using for MFA. So I usually find it to be more secure, and actually it avoids the whole situation of remembering too many passwords or even MFA fatigue. Okay, let's continue. Now let's talk about how we can be vigilant also with email. And that is on Outlook and also on Teams messages. Now, watch out for phishing emails. Treat emails with caution, especially those asking for sensitive information or even containing unexpected attachments or links. Verify the sender's address. Attackers often spoof or use lookalike email addresses. So it's usually prompts to, sometimes hover on the attacker's email address to see if it's the address that they are sending whatever it is they're sending it from. If they are sending it from a different domain, it most likely will show you and this is from an end user perspective. We'll touch a little bit on the IT admin perspective and what to actually configure to be able to secure this. Now, phishing emails are designed to trick you into giving up your passwords or even launching malware. If an email claims to be from IT or Microsoft about your account, double check via official channels. If you have an IT help desk, if you have either an IT consultant, you can actually, either report or just double check, contact them. So just it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay. Then of course, think before you click any link or open any attachment. Like I said, when in doubt, contact your IT or security team or the purported sender via like a known phone number or chat to confirm the email's legitimacy, especially if you work in an industry where you're dealing with sensitive information or even sensitive data. Now, use the report phishing feature. As you can see on our slide on the image attached, this is where you can actually find it within your Outlook window. Many organizations add even a custom report phishing button in Outlook. So if you suspect an email is malicious, report it. This actually helps your security teams respond and train filters. When you do so, they actually get an alert on their end that enables them to further, triage that particular email and look for any indicators of compromise. So in that way, you guys will actually be working in tandem to actually make your organization safe. Okay. Then also, I also want to touch on attachments. So caution with attachments, okay? In Outlook and even in Teams chat, do not open attachments unless you trust the sender and expect the file. Now, a common malware trick is to send an Office document, which could be a Word or even Excel file, urging you to enable macros. So do not enable macros on documents from unknown sources. And this is something that I've actually seen happening a lot. Now, Microsoft Defender for Office 365 will often scan and block dangerous attachments. This is via the Safe Attachments feature. But your vigilance is also key. Okay. Now, something else that I would actually touch on is safe links warning. Sometimes the organization might use safe links protection, which ideally scans URLs in emails or even Teams for malicious content. If you click a link and see a warning that it's malicious, do not proceed. These warnings mean the link is likely unsafe. Only bypass such warnings if your IT department explicitly confirms it's a false alarm. Okay. Then Teams chat security, that's another threat vector that we've actually seen over the years. Now, on Microsoft Teams, be cautious with messages from outside the organization. Now, external senders are labeled as external in Teams. Remember that attackers could try to contact employees via chat as well. So do not share confidential data in Teams chats with external parties unless it's authorized. If you get unexpected file links via Teams from colleagues, verify they actually sent it. And especially if it's something that seems a bit too off because the account might be compromised. Okay. So essentially, what I'm basically saying is apply the same healthy skepticism to Teams messages as you would to your email accounts as well. Okay. Okay. I hope so far so good. So far so good. Okay. Okay. Now let's look at OneDrive and SharePoint, which is the cloud file storage. Remember, on the previous slide, we were talking about Outlook and Teams. So that mainly touches on identity. So right now, when we talk about OneDrive and SharePoint, we are mainly touching on data. Okay? So share files carefully, basically. So when sharing documents via OneDrive or SharePoint, limit access to the minimum necessary. For instance, prefer sharing directly with specific people requiring sign-in rather than using anyone with a link for sensitive files, especially if you're in an industry such as legal or an industry where you always constantly sharing either confidential client data, as this could actually end you up in trouble, because you've seen situations whereby a confidential file is actually found on social media, and you as an organization, the file actually originated from you, but you are unable to trace where or who the sender is. This is something that you can also even do by mistake as a user. So these are some of the things that you need to be careful of, also to make sure that you do not get yourself in trouble. Okay. So always double check that you're sending the link to the right person or email. Now, Microsoft 365 allows setting expiration dates or even passwords on sharing links, as you can see on the image on our screens. Now, use this for extra safety on confidential files. Now, this prevents unintended people from accessing files if a link gets forwarded. If you're sending, let's say, a document to, let's say, a board or something that contains, company secrets, this is what you can actually do. Send a link with an expiration date. That way, even if you're busy doing other things, you know that particular data only resides on your environment and no one else can be able to access it. Okay. Now, if your organization has data policies, follow them. Now, if your company uses sensitivity labels like marking documents confidential or even public, learn and follow these. They exist to protect data. Now, a good example I can think of is a document labeled internal only should not be shared with external partners. Data loss prevention policies might occasionally warn or block you if you try emailing out a file with sensitive information. Now, pay attention to these warnings. They are safeguards to actually prevent data leaks. Okay. Then also, when we talk about OneDrive, be mindful of the OneDrive sync option on your computers. If you use the OneDrive sync client on your PC, avoid syncing work files to unsecured personal devices. Only sync to company-managed devices if possible. If you work offline, be sure to save files in OneDrive so they are backed up to the cloud. This way, if your device is lost or even infected by ransomware, the cloud copies will remain safe. Now, OneDrive and SharePoint have version history, okay, and a recycle bin. If you accidentally delete or even overwrite a file, you can often recover it, but report incidents quickly, as deleted items aren't kept forever, depending on your organizational data retention policies, okay? Then do not use your personal email or cloud for work data. This is something that I've actually seen happen in many organizations, and quite a number of people have been actually caught doing this. So a common cyber hygiene principle is to avoid shadow IT. Now, do not forward work documents to your personal Gmail or upload them to personal Dropbox or Google Drive. Aside from policy violations, which you can actually get caught, doing so bypasses all the corporate security protection. You know the ones that we just mentioned about data loss prevention, retention backups, and even monitoring, and could actually put this particular data at risk. So keep work data in approved Microsoft 365 locations where it's protected and monitored. Okay, perfect. So patch, protect, and prevent. Okay, apply software updates regularly. This is something that I know quite a number of us are guilty of, especially when I'm dealing with different end users. When you see that icon at the bottom right hand side of your Windows device, or even for Mac OS users, so regularly update your computer's operating system, whether you're a Windows user or a Mac OS user, and install updates for Office applications, browsers, and even mobile applications. Now, software updates often contain security patches that actually fix vulnerabilities. For a good example is Microsoft releases critical patches on something called Patch Tuesday, which is the second Tuesday of each month. And cyber criminals rapidly exploit known flaws. So running outdated version leaves you exposed. So enable automatic updates wherever possible so you don't have to remember to do it. Okay. Now use antivirus or even Defender, which actually comes native with your Microsoft subscription. So keep your antivirus or endpoint protection active on all devices. On Windows 10 or 11, actually, we should be moving to Windows 11. Microsoft Defender antivirus is built in, and ensure it's not disabled. So regularly scan your system for malware. So Defender actually does this by default, okay? If Defender or another security app flags a threat, take it seriously. Follow the recommended actions to quarantine or remove the threat, and inform IT if needed. Now, good cyber hygiene means not ignoring security alerts on your device. Also, avoid installing untrusted software or browser extensions that could carry risk. Some of these software applications that we usually find online, some of them usually carry, different threats, or even they're embedded with, some malicious code or software that actually opens, like a backdoor to your system or your PC, allowing an attacker to actually have, persistent access to your device. So if you're downloading, let's say, an application that involves, let's say, that is from a certain company, make sure that you download the correct application from that company instead of looking for another application from another service provider purporting to be an application that you can use from that company. It will work, yes, but also on the back end, you will also be installing other things, because this is whereby maybe you're installing one application, but when you look at your control panel or your installed applications, you find many other applications auto-installed without you actually having authorized the same thing. So this is something that you need to be careful of. Then also, obviously, practice safe browsing. Now, many Microsoft 365 services are accessed via our web browser. Now, use the latest version of a secure browser, whether you're using Edge, whether you're using Chrome or Safari. So, and enable phishing or malware protection in the browser. Okay. Now, be careful with Office add-ins or Teams apps from third-party sources. Only install integrations from reputable publishers that your organization approves, especially if you're dealing with a third-party application that stores data outside your tenant. Okay. For example, I'll give you a good example. Like when you let's say looking for an app that does transcription on Teams or even taking minutes. Where is that data stored? Where are those minutes stored? You could be actually in a confidential meeting, dealing with let's say a highly sensitive kind of meeting, and that data is actually stored outside your tenant, which means you do not have control over that data. So that is something that you need to be careful of, okay? Then, of course, physical device security. Remember that all the cloud security in the world won't help if someone has physical access to your logged in device. Always lock your computer, okay? Windows key plus L does it pretty quick, or Control Alt Delete, lock. So do this when stepping away from your desk, or even from at a cafe, or if you're working at a co-working space. Use strong pins or even biometric locks on mobile devices that access your Microsoft 365 data. Of course, never write down passwords on sticky notes. If you're working remotely, secure your Wi-Fi. Use a WPA2 or 3 encryption on your router and a strong Wi-Fi password. And never use public Wi-Fis, especially a Wi-Fi that you're not sure where it's originating from. You're better off hotspotting from your own mobile device, okay? Then consider using a VPN if required by your company for certain systems. Especially, I've seen this happening with different organizations. If you're dealing with sensitive data that are protected by data protection laws or even GDPR, or even in your company, if you're dealing with highly sensitive, let's say, financial data, use a VPN if possible. Okay. Perfect. I hope so far so good. So far so good. I know this is a lot of information, but let's keep going. Okay. Now, here's the good news. Sorry. Now, here's the good news, okay? Microsoft 365 comes with powerful security tools built in. So let me walk you through a few that make our lives easier. So I'll just mention a couple of them, okay? Now, to begin with, I'll start with Microsoft Defender. Now, think of Defender as your digital security guard, okay? It scans emails, attachments, and links for threats. If you see a warning about a suspicious link or file, trust it. Defender is working to keep you safe. Now, Microsoft Defender for Office protects against phishing and malicious attachments, while Defender for Endpoint monitors devices for threats. There are other Defender products, but we won't really get much into it for this session, okay? Then also, I'll also talk about Microsoft Entra ID, which is formerly Azure Active Directory. Now, this is the engine behind secure sign-ins, multi-factor authentication, and conditional access. It helps make sure only the right people on the right devices get access to your data. It manages identities, multi-factor authentication, and of course, sign-in risk. And this is a powerful tool that you can actually use to start leveraging your security in a digital world. Because as it is right now, identity is the new security perimeter. Okay. Then also, then also there's a technology called Microsoft Intune. So if you use a work laptop or a phone, Microsoft Intune helps your IT team keep your device secure, pushing updates or even enforcing encryption, and even wiping data if a device is lost. So Intune ensures only compliant, secure devices connect. Okay. Then also we talked about data loss prevention earlier. So Microsoft Purview is what actually handles this. So have you ever seen a document labeled, confidential or internal only? So that is Microsoft Purview at work. It helps classify and protect sensitive information and can even block you from sending certain data outside the company. Now, other built-in features that we have again within our Microsoft stack is safe links and safe attachments, which I mentioned earlier. So they ideally scan links and files in real time as you go on through your work day. Then also data loss prevention that I mentioned. So it warns or blocks you if you try to, share sensitive information. Then also we have audit logs and alerts. This is particularly important for your IT team to help them spot suspicious activity really fast. Now, these tools form a layered defense in what we call the zero trust approach. So what the zero trust approach basically means, it means that you should never trust and always verify. That way, even if one layer fails, the other layers will step in to protect you and your data. So all these tools are great, but they actually work best when we use them together and when we all do our part. Okay. So allow me to pivot just a little bit. Now, a quick word for our IT and security pros in the audience, because ideally you are the backbone of this defense. Now, based on our findings, the best secured Microsoft 365 tenants shared a few practices that we've actually seen also with our work with different organizations, different clients, okay? So enforce multi-factor authentication for all accounts, including service and administrative ones, okay? Use conditional access to block risky sign-ins. Conditional access is actually a technology that you can really leverage when it comes to identity security and to even just lock down your tenant. It actually prevents a lot of security risks that you might actually face on a day-to-day basis, okay? Then also enable Defender for Office 365 and Defender for Endpoint together for, increased visibility. Then also configure Microsoft Purview sensitivity labels and data loss prevention rules. This is something that you can also work with, owners of data within your organization. Pitch this to them. Try and figure out what data should be classified as internal, external. Work with your HR teams to actually figure out some of these data classification rules. Okay. Then also integrate audit logs into Microsoft Sentinel. This is if you use Microsoft Sentinel, which is a SIEM solution for threat detection, okay? And of course, monitor secure score regularly. This is something that comes embedded with all Microsoft 365 tenants that you can actually use to view your current security posture, and it actually shows you what you need to improve on. And you can be able to get metrics on data, identity, applications, cloud, and also your endpoints, okay? So ideally, it's your benchmark for improvement. Now, so the takeaway is do not just deploy, configure, monitor, and continuously improve. You can reach out to your service providers to also find out which licenses you currently hold, because the different license tiers have different security capabilities. So we always advocate for Microsoft Business Premium, Microsoft Business Premium and above for fairly small to medium organizations. If you're a sole proprietor or one to two-person organization, it's okay. You can still use the Microsoft 365 Business Basic or Standard and turn on the security defaults. Okay. Yeah, or you can reach out to us and we can arrange a session or assessments to actually help you stay secure or even train your IT teams. Okay. Okay. Now, here's something important. Cybersecurity is not just an IT job. Think of it as a three-way partnership, okay? Now we have our end users. Our end users practice safe behaviors. They enforce strong passwords and they actually look at cautious clicking, okay? Then we have our business leaders. Our business leaders support awareness programs, they allocate budgets and promote a culture of responsibility. Then we have our IT and security admins. They configure the systems, they monitor alerts, and respond to incidents, okay? Now, when one group does not participate, the chain actually weakens. I often tell executives that you can outsource IT, but you cannot outsource accountability. Everyone has a role in protecting data, and technology alone is not enough. Culture seals the deal. So encourage people to speak up when they see something suspicious. You can even reward proactive reporting. You can run simulated phishing campaigns to keep awareness high. Now, instead of blaming users for mistakes, focus on learning and improving together. Okay. I've seen organizations where reporting a phishing email earns recognition. That simple change actually turns employees from the weakest link into your first line of defense. Okay. Now, let's wrap up with a few key points. Okay. Cyber hygiene, as you've all seen, is everyone's job. Just like washing your hands, it's about small, regular habits. Now, strong passwords and multi-factor authentication are your best defense. Okay. Then, obviously, stay alert to phishing and scams. Think before you click. Then also keep your devices and applications updated. You can use Microsoft 365's built-in security features. They are actually there to help you. Now, if something feels off, report it. It's always better to check than to regret. Okay? Yeah. Then also, here's your call to action. I would actually like all of us, whether you're an end user, a business leader, or an IT security admin, to review your Microsoft 365 account security. Make sure your MFA is turned on. You can actually get all this on your own account settings. Update. Let's say if it's your mobile number, look at your MFA, your multi-factor authentication application on your mobile phone if you have one. If you don't have one, make sure to actually get it sorted. If you can enable passwordless authentication, okay, this is something that even your IT teams can actually help you to actually do so. Now, share what you've learned with your team. If you're an IT admin, figure out a way to actually also communicate this to your end users, because most of the times we usually look at things from a purely technical perspective that we forget to actually, take time and to actually teach and make our users learn the importance of cybersecurity. Because right now, cybersecurity is not just it's not just a checkbox that we have within our organization. It's actually a business enabler. Okay. Again, if you're an IT admin, check your secure score and prioritize key actions. Remember, cybersecurity isn't just about paranoia, it's about protection. Okay. Now, do we have any questions and answers before we actually close down the session? So maybe Edwin, you can.
Yes, thanks so much, Gift. I know so much to share, so little time, but I think you've done your best in terms of being able to condense it as much. Of course, it's a one-on-one, meaning that, we can build from here in so many directions that we can go. So thank you so much for that. I think my takeaway from this one is that quote that you said, you can outsource IT, but you cannot outsource accountability. Yeah, and I think that goes to everyone who's managed to log into this particular webinar today. So yes, in terms of Q&A, I see, I think I've seen one that was is being handled by Amos, but I think I just wanted to share here generally in terms of there's a question around are the security features available with the basic M365? Would you want to just talk about which particular? I know you alluded it to that in terms of business premium and all, but are we able to just push that more and see which particular licenses come with what particular kind of security?
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, it depends with your organization population and structure and level. So with MT65 Business Basic, and this also applies with Microsoft 365 Business Standard, what you'll actually get is the built-in core security features that actually come in with Microsoft. And you'll actually get your anti-spam and anti-malware protection built in. This is something that's actually built in with your Microsoft Basic license. So it actually helps block phishing emails and spam and malware attachments. And also, multi-factor authentication also comes with your business basic and standard. So these are things that these are core security features that apply to all plans, regardless of whichever tier that you subscribe to. So multi-factor authentication, it adds a second layer of security during sign-in, and it can actually be enforced via Microsoft Entra ID, which you also have with your Microsoft 365 Basic. Then also I mentioned about security defaults. Now, for large organizations, we would actually they tend to avoid security defaults and use conditional access policies because of the complexity that they have within the organization. But if you run a small organization and you only have Microsoft 365 Business Basic or Standard, you can actually turn on your security defaults via Entra ID. So this is automatically enabled for new tenants, okay? And it includes multi-factor authentication registration enforcement. You can also block legacy authentication protocols. Then you can also utilize privileged access protection. So these are free and help secure identities out of the box. Then, of course, you have your OneDrive security enhancements, where you have your personal vault, where you have your ransomware detection and recovery. Then also, what else? What else? Then also secure collaboration. Actually, that is something that I should actually mention. So you get protected sharing and communication via Teams, SharePoint, and OneDrive. So data is encrypted in transit and also at rest. Then also you also get basic compliance and data protection. So Microsoft's cloud infrastructure complies with global standards. For example, ISO 27001 and GDPR. And also you get basic data loss prevention capabilities, which are limited, but also they still actually go a long way in actually helping you secure your environment. Okay. I hope that answers your question about that.
Yes. Yeah, and I'd say a shout out to Marianne for that particular question. I think for a better deep dive, you can feel free to hit us up, right, on our emails, or yeah, to be able to get if you really need to understand what you do, what would work for your organization. We are available for that. Yeah. There's another question here from Kevo. He
Okay.
asks about cleaning up sharing links. How can you detect current links shared to anyone?
Okay. Now, there are so many, there are actually a number of ways that you can use to detect sharing links is this on SharePoint or OneDrive or just in general?
Didn't
Actually,
specify.
I
Yes.
can actually just do it
It's
in
actually
general.
saying both. Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
So, unfortunately, in this case, it's actually a very manual process. Okay. And these are things that you can either protect via conditional access policies beforehand, and for your SharePoint sites that you currently have within your organization, you can actually go to for the individual files or folders. Of course, you have to go to the SharePoint site and locate the file or folder, and then you can actually go to where you can find the links giving access, and you can see all active sharing links. And from there, you'll actually be able to see the options to delete the link. Then, of course, you'll have to confirm the deletion. Actually, this is something that I think maybe I need to just show you uh, practically. But in cases where you need to do like a bulk cleanup, the best way to actually do this is using PowerShell. So this can only work if you're an admin and you actually understand how PowerShell works. So if you need to remove all sharing links, especially anonymous or organization-wide ones, PowerShell, in my opinion, is the best approach. You can use if you understand PowerShell, you can use the get PNP file sharing link or get the PNP folder sharing link commandlets to identify links and then remove them. So this is something that we can also have a session on how to actually do some of this practically. Then you can also filter to exclude people you choose, links if needed as well. Yeah. Then also to prevent future sharing issues, you can actually tighten sharing controls where you go to your site permissions, or that is on SharePoint, then also access request settings. Then you need to uncheck, what's the name of that setting? Allow members to share the site individual files and folders. Then also allow members to, invite others to the site members group. That is how I would actually approach that.
All right. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. And I see a lot of questions coming in with regards to the recording and the PowerPoint presentation. Yes, this session is, of course, being recorded, and we shall share the recordings later with you. So, yeah, be at peace with that. Right.
Okay.
I see Abdul has his hand raised, and
Okay.
he's putting a question in terms of turning on phishing security protect on browsers, e.g. Chrome, Edge, or Safari. Can you talk into that?
Okay. No, phishing protection on browsers. In this case, if you're a Microsoft 365 user, it actually comes inbuilt with your Edge browser. Because in your Edge browser, you'll actually, when you sign in with your work account, the same security the same security capabilities that have been applied to your identity will also apply to your browser. Now, in the case of Google Chrome, you can let me see, you can there's we always see this thing about Google safe browsing. Okay, so, and the features is that it warns users with messages like a deceptive site ahead, and also blocks access to some non-phishing and malware sites. Okay, then also on so the engine on Google Chrome is actually called Google safe browsing. Okay, then when it comes to Microsoft Edge, it has the Microsoft Defender Smart Screen. So, and ideally, what some of the features that it has, it has the real-time URL reputation checks. Also, it also has the warnings before visiting some suspicious sites. Then it also integrates with Windows Defender for deeper protection. Personally, I use Microsoft Edge a lot, and if I need, let's say, to use Google as a search engine, I usually just specify the search engine to use even within my Microsoft Edge window. Then, of course, the same applies to Mozilla Firefox. It also uses Google Safe Browsing that has the features that I mentioned earlier. Yeah.
All right. Yes, I see our time is running quick. We are 2 minutes to the top of the hour and would want to, respect and honor your time. So I don't know if there are any other questions apart from that. Of course, you can feel free to reach out to us via email. You can go to our website. We have our contacts there. Yeah. You have a question?
Sorry?
Oh, I thought I had someone. Yes. Yes, I just wanted to take this time to thank everyone for joining, and just to also let you know that we are running a drive, Sibasi at 8. We recently turned 8 as Sibasi, and with this particular campaign, we are looking at sensitizing organization in terms of what they can be able to do with their infrastructure. So this webinar is part of that particular sensitization. So feel free to check us the upcoming webinars at cibasi.academy with regards to the topics that are coming up. You could be able to just go in there and look at what is coming up, and feel free to register. Also, feel free to reach out to us in case you need things around, security audits, things around licensing, and which license would make sense, especially from a security standpoint. And I know Gift and the colleagues here at Sibasi would be able to, advise you with regards to which way to go. So yeah. I think that's a good place to wrap it up. I don't know, Gift, if you have any last words that you'd want to put in before we call it a webinar.
Yes. Actually,
Yes.
just to quickly add on what you just said. Also,
Yes.
if you need us to talk about a certain topic, a certain technology on the Microsoft security stack, we can also just run like a full training, let's say on Entra only, on
Mhm.
Defender only. So give us your suggestions, tell us what you actually need, and we can, try and come up with something. Then we can prepare and actually have another session such as this one. So again, thank you very much, Edwin. And I think before we close, maybe I'd want to leave you with this simple thought. Cybersecurity isn't just about technology; it's about people, behavior, and awareness. So
Mhm.
every time you stop to double check an email, update a device, or even use MFA, you're contributing to something much bigger, which is your organization's digital resilience. So together we can make Microsoft 365 not just productive, but protected. So again, thank you all for joining Cyber Hygiene 101, staying safe. And so stay safe, stay smart, and stay secure. Thank you.
Awesome. Nice way to wrap it up.
Yeah.
See you all on the next one. Have a
Okay.
great day ahead.